Welcome to episode 8 of the VHS Drum Set project. In the previous video, it was all about the floor toms, showcasing how good they are, and the steps and the finished product of the 24-inch bass drum, which looks amazing. If you haven't seen it, by all means, go watch that episode first. But this is the final part of the build, and this is the snare drum. I'm going to be using this Ludwig 14 by 8 classic maple. Now, preferably not my size and not my choice, but because I normally like shallower, I even like 12 to 13-inch snare drums, preferably. But this one I thought was going to look so good against those concert toms and the big 24-inch bass drum. And I wanted to recreate like the salesman vibe. And what do I mean by the salesman? So if you look at that snare drum, this is a Ludwig 14 by 6.5. Again, still not my size, but I like something a little bit more shallower. But see how it's got those color samples in that striped fashion? I wanted to recreate this vibe using the VHS sides and tops. I'm going to sort them by color schemes. So I'm going to put all the reds and like deeper oranges together. I'm going to put all the black ones with white fonts together versus the ones that have black backings and red fonts. The blues versus the purples. Things that have the hot pinks, and I want to kind of see what I have the monopoly of to double. But it's going to be side by side and hopefully showcase them in a good way. Now I got to cut these all in a universal height, not necessarily the same width. I can cut off like the certain bits of the ends, and sometimes where it says the movie studio of like Universal or Orion. I don't need barcodes showing. I just want basically that. And I'm going to do that on this amazing 14 by 8. A little backstory about this. I just wanted to see what was out there. I at first thought I was just going to buy an old marching drum and maybe use that, because I just wanted something with depth so I can showcase the VHS. I kind of just did a blanketed search on like 1410s and 14.8s snare drums. I was even looking at 15s. And deep into Reverb, the eBay of musical instruments, I saw someone mislabel this 14 by 8. The guy did not classify it as a classic maple. I think he spelled Ludwig wrong on it, but with the algorithms, they still kind of figure out what you have. But it was mislabeled. The size wasn't even correct on it, but I kind of saw what it was on the picture, and he didn't have a bad price on it. And this is a newer classic maple. Newer meaning it's got the new Atlas throw off, the good ones that like don't fail you. Like that alone is a $50 throw off. I'm going to spill the beans now. He only wanted like $225 for this whole thing. Just the hardware alone is far more expensive that, but he also had a make offer on it. If you ever been on Reverb, you play the game. I mean, same as eBay. You play the game of, let me throw out a dumb offer and see what bites, Worst case scenario, you tell me to go bugger off, which I fully expected. So I threw an offer of $100 at him. And of course the shipping. The shipping was, guy was in Texas. I'm in Maryland. I think it was like $30. Okay, fair, especially with guarantees and warranties and such through shipping if something gets damaged. I was really shocked that the guy wrote me back at my $100 offer at a snare drum that he already had pretty low, just really wasn't titled well. The pictures weren't great, but I knew what it was. Um, he goes, I can't go that low. Would you be willing to go at least 120? I'm like, yeah, I'll go 120. So all in 150 bucks, and it's gonna be the perfect snare drum for this kit. And again, it doesn't sound bad. It's just not my preferred size. But yeah, so I'm gonna be taking all the hardware off, um, mapping out what I need as far as the wallpaper, uh, lay that out, and then start designing the color scheme with the VHS cover. So let's see how that turns out at the end. And this would be the last of the last until episode 9, which will be me finally playing this because I told myself I wasn't going to play one drum until it was all done. Could sound horrible, but it looks magnificent. So let's see how it turns out. All right. So I just came back from the laminators. And after all that cutting, measuring, and gluing, it is finally done, that wrap. And it looks very high gloss. Hopefully you could see the kind of color scheme within that it's the black background, white background, blue, reds, purples, and pinks versus the yellows versus the blue, the whites, and back to blacks. Again, emulating the Ludwig salesman scheme. And again, a lot of the fonts are defying the color scheme, but like if I'm just going by backgrounds, yeah, I tried to get as close to the blues as I could, and then all the whites. Problem with all the whites background, again, it got a little, they're aged. They're most of them from the 80's and 90's, 80's movies, but like some of them were issued in the 90's. It's just some of the yellows have turned into a little creamier color. But I do say that's going to look really good on top of that shell now that I've stripped it back, okay? So here we go. It's on the final run. The big reveal. There we go. That looks awesome. only thing that I'm a little disappointed in is that the top layers that were, and bottom layers that were in black, with white fonts on the bottom, you can't see because the collar of the head and the rim cover it a bit. I mean, you can kind of see the top layer, but like Clue and Blind Date, yeah, you just can't see that as good. Willow's right there. And then the top one, yeah, you can't see those at all. They're hidden by the collar. But overall, I couldn't have been happier with that. Now, unlike the other drums, I did not do the inside of this. I didn't see the point because I was always going to use, you know, a coated head on top so you wouldn't see it like the others. The others have clear heads and obviously no bottom for the toms because they're concert toms. That would showcase the inside more. But yeah, I mean, to kind of compare to the Salesman, let's face it, you can kind of see my vision. So there's the Ludwig Salesman. And just to compare, yeah, that came out really good. The one with the white background with color fonts, those come through the best. The only thing that's still unfinished is I need to buy an air vent, chrome air vent. So I'm going to be purchasing that. That's the only thing that's left on this drum. But yeah, Back to the Future came out good. Tootsie, St. Elmo's Fire. There's where the overlap is. It met into itself pretty well. You could see there, the blue and blue. That's where it started to come off like, or not overlap by like 1/8 of an inch. But overall, that is beautiful. One of a kind. My VHS 80's snare drum that goes with the kit. The next video will be me finally playing these things. It's been a long project. It's been over several months stretched out just because I'm extremely busy. I really thought when I started this it would be 4 or 5 months, maybe. It's 8 months into it just because I got a full schedule, teaching schedule, and life gets in the way. But overall, 8 months to do the whole kit. The snare was actually relatively easy compared to some of the other ones. It was just thinking it out, making sure it was laid out correctly before I glued. But yep, perfecto. I love it. Next video and a final video on the VHS project, me finally playing the things. I have no idea if it's going to sound good. I think it's going to sound good. But until then, this is episode 8. The second to last of this series. It came out really good, okay? So here's a couple photos of it. And yeah, it's just beautiful. Beautiful how it turned out.